Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Um, hey, can I get, it's kind of impertinent of me, but can I get some of you to move in a little bit closer so I can look into your smiling, approving eyes? Yeah, that would be really nice. I'd really like that. It would be different. Okay. Okay. So, good afternoon and welcome to Canada's very first Speaker's Corner for Women. To speak freely, yes, to speak freely about their thoughts and experiences in today's Canada, currently known as Justin Trudeau's personal fiefdom. Okay? This event will, I hope, be the first of many and has been organized by Women's Rights Matter, of which I am a very proud member. Now, Women's Rights Matter was originally formed to lobby politicians at all levels in the run-up to elections. We now find that this is a full-time job and an uphill slog, and it is worth every minute of all the rejection and occasional abuse that we sometimes get. Because somebody's got to do this, right? Yeah. There are 4 founders, of which I'm one. But I really have to give a special shout out to Carrie over there. Carrie. She is a really, really superb organizer, and she is determined to get things done. Now, I've got a reminder from her here that we are doing a period product drive, and any contributions you have are very gratefully received. Next, though she's far away, I need to express our appreciation to Kelly J. Keane on Turf Island, because she has run her Standing for Women events without fear or favor for many years, and often has, as we know, been verbally and physically attacked. She is a genuine profile and personal courage, and she has set an example of intrepidity for all of us, in my opinion. Yeah. And this brings me to my last point. The openly expressed desire of Canada's most prominent trans activist, he lives right here in Ottawa, to make women so frightened that we dare not defend our rights, that we dare not speak about the oppression that exists entirely due to sex, that we be muzzled and shut down, that we dare not defend our children, that we dare not defend our children. To hell with that. Look, every single woman that's here today and who has the courage to be here today is saying an unequivocal no to this man and his reign of intimidation and terror, because it is a reign of intimidation and terror. It is threats, it is doxing, it is harassing women, it is depriving them of their livelihoods. We all know about Amy Ham. There are others, right? So, this is how I see all of you. I see each and every one of you as being a shield and a buckler and a living sword of courage and principle. That is what I see when I look out here. So, together, we will take back our spaces. We will take back our words for ourselves. We will take back our rights, and we are going to take back the rights of the generations of girls, born and unborn, yet to come. Hear, hear. And now, without any further ado, from the likes of me, let women speak.
Yes. Well done, Kelly.
All right, so where is the list? Do not have it. Who is the first person? Is it Natasha? Okay. The list of... Carrie. Carrie, come and speak.
Thank you. It has just been just over a century since some women were given the first right to vote. Just under a century since women were recognized as persons by law. Less than 70 years since women had to stop working after getting married. Less than 50 years since women could have their own bank accounts. Less than 40 years since marital rape became a criminal offense. Less than 30 years less than 30 years since talking about periods had become less taboo. Yet it has taken less than 6 years to disrupt progress. While we have made many gains in many spaces, we are now losing out in so many other ways. We are no longer recognized by the government, unions, legacy media as a distinct biological class with unique needs based on our physiology. Instead, we are a feeling inside a person's head. We are expected to be okay with being called uterus haver, bleeder, non-man, birthing body, cis, and other dehumanizing terms. Our spaces, washrooms, changing rooms, prisons, shelters that were to give us the right of safety, security, dignity, privacy, and the ability to fully participate in society have been removed. Women and girls are now expected to be okay with boys and men in these spaces by using these simple magical words. I identify as a woman. In schools that only have mixed sex or gender neutral washrooms, girls are avoiding using the toilet all day long. There are also cases of girls being sexually assaulted in some of those spaces. Girls in high school volleyball teams are getting more concussions because boys are being allowed to join girls' teams by saying they identify as girls. The problem is boys hit the ball with more force than girls, which adds to the risk. Girls are more prone to serious concussions compared to boys. While some sporting authorities are reversing this policy, many have not. Governments will not step in to regulate this, either choosing to put safety of girls and women at risk for the sake of males saying they feel like a girl or woman. It's crystal clear policymakers have demonstrated a complete disregard for the safety and well-being of women and girls in sports. Despite conducting a study on mental health and safety of females in sport less than a year ago, the Status of Women Committee chose to not publish 5 briefs that we are aware of after changing the guidelines just days before the deadline after the submissions. It seems that safety and fairness for female athletes matters until it comes to males entering women's competitions. I am here to tell you today that we have had enough. We are not going away. We are not going to stay silent.
Thank you, Carrie. This group wouldn't be here at all without you. We now have Natasha.
I went technological. Okay, we're going to take a deep breath. Can you guys hear me? Is all well? Yeah? Okay. I could not care any less for a man in a dress. Let's start with the mother threatened with arrest for confronting a man watching her children undress. It happened in Nanaimo, beautiful BC, but you'll never hear outrage on mainstream TV. A man in a wig and covering his face, watching children, what a fucking disgrace. When asked for his motives, this man did not lie. He did this believing it's his human right. Take a seat for this one. It's graphic and gory. Mom's name is Dolores. What a fucking story. A 3-month-old babe, His name was Cannell. In 97, was put through pure hell. Adam Labucan, just 15 years old, sexually assaulted our babe. His body left cold. The act so violent, he was flown to be saved. Reconstructive surgery, 600 clicks away. If you thought that was it, cover youngin's ears. The story gets worse as we go through the years. After the ghastly assault, Labucan felt thin. He mutilated himself and ate his own skin. He didn't stop there, his wrists not enough. Wanting to be a woman, he tried chopping his own dick off. During the trial, experts said it so. Transsexual tendencies, and of course, a pedo. Charges not laid, Labucan 15. The courts did wait till he was no longer a teen. In 99, the day finally came. Labucan 17 in prison for his crime. Years went by, he lost an appeal. But then the Omen self-ID sealed the deal. He's now a woman. The Institute for Women, his brand new nest, it didn't take time for him to cause unrest. A skirt won't change shit when a predator is near. Now these women share a cell in fear. He's flung an inmate by her hair and then kicked her face. Others have been assaulted. Is this the only case? How many is enough until we say, no way? Well, lovely souls, today seems like that day. Alas, the chaos has accomplished one task. It's brought us together as women, no masks. We've gathered together, ladies and gents, under one banner known as the Red Tent. This isn't about the right or the left, a turf, a smurf. We're humans, give it a rest. This is about women, about children, about right and wrong. Drop the labels, stop fighting. We need to stay strong. Womanhood is ours. It's our fucking turf. I'll be damned if I concede to a man in a skirt. I could not care any less for a man in a dress, but I'm seeing a pattern, I must confess. Thank you.
I love poetry. Okay, our very own Mia.
Okay. Hang on. Can't find my speech. Okay, here we go. Can you hear me okay? Okay. A couple of years ago, an Ottawa trans activist said he wanted, and I quote, a political environment in which TERFs are so vilified they don't dare speak their views publicly, let alone act on them. Now, as a fully committed, out and proud TERF, today I'm going to speak my views publicly, and Canadians can judge for themselves whether or not I deserve to be vilified. Here they are. Women are adult human females. Womanhood is not a costume, it's not a feeling inside a man's head, and it's not an insulting set of stereotypes. Humans cannot change sex. Men are not women, and sorry fellas, but no amount of lipstick or wishful thinking will make it so. There's no such thing as a lesbian with a penis, and pretending that there is makes you homophobic. Gender self-ID is a sex offender's dream come true. Women and girls should not have to share their intimate spaces with every exhibitionist and voyeur who chooses to declare himself a woman. It is a human rights violation to lock women up in prisons with men, including rapists and murderers, who claim to be in possession of women's souls. Our children deserve a childhood grounded in truth, and schools should not be teaching an incoherent political ideology as if it's scientific fact. No child is born in the wrong body, and there is no such thing as a transgender child. Children should have the right to grow up healthy and whole. Puberty is not a disease. Gender nonconformity is not a medical condition. It is a crime to sterilize children. Surgeons chopping the healthy breasts of distressed teenage girls is a medical atrocity. So these are the views that Canadian trans activists want to silence.
If you are Canadian and you happen to agree with me, now is the time to say so. Don't let trans activists silence you, because the cost of your silence can be measured in the number of young people sacrificing body parts on the gender surgeon's operating table. Activists will inevitably call you transphobic, but who cares? The word has no meaning. If protecting women and children is transphobic, be a proud transphobe. They'll undoubtedly accuse you. They'll undoubtedly accuse you of being hateful, but don't listen to them, because, as a great woman once said, it's not hate to defend your rights, and it's not hate to speak the truth. Thank you. It's horrendous. Thanks. I did it. I took the microphone.
There's nobody like Mia. Now we have Jennifer Ann to relay an amazing story of a run-in with a certain trans activist. Jennifer Ann.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's been just the few people that have already spoken. It's been highly emotional. Okay, sorry. Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to see everyone here. Just already the speeches that we've had has been pretty emotional, at least for myself. Last year, December 6th, 2022, Durham College in Oshawa, Ontario, they had a seminar on, and I attended. December 6, 2022, I attended the seminar called the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. December 6 holds a very important date. I hate saying anniversary because it's not. But on December 6th, 1989, a fucking bastard came into Montreal's Polytechnique, they call, and he separated the women from the men. That day he killed 14 women and injured 10 more women. The largest mass massacre of women, femicide, all because he hated these women. So when I went to the Durham College event, I was very surprised, but yet not. They had Faye Johnston. Faye is not Faye. Faye is a man. His name is Zach. They had Zach put on this seminar. When it became my time to speak, at the end there was time for questions. I put up my hand and I was so mad. Thanks. I asked Zach, could there not be a separate space for trans? I don't believe in trans, okay? But I said that to him. I asked him, could there not be another space? And also, what are you going to do about keeping women safe? This is a man speaking at Durham College, pretending he's a man, calling himself trans because he thinks he's a man when he is not. Sorry. You got me. Let's go. He's a man. He's a man. Or an autogonophile, which is an AGP who takes a joy of wearing women's garb and keeping their penis on. So when I asked him these questions, his was next question. Now this is the guy that actually is the head for Wisdom to Action. And when the question came, he just said, next question. He ignored me. I said, you're not going to answer the question? Does that make me right? There was 2 ladies. First one came in and said, "This probably isn't the time to speak about this." She discouraged me from talking, and she told me if we wanted to carry on with this, we could speak in private. I don't understand how that could be spoken in private. Why are we not able to speak and ask these questions from the seminar? Pardon me, sorry about that. I would just like to know, Zach, you may find it offensive that I call you Zach or I call you a man, but I find it highly offensive to see your disgusting fake makeup and long hair dressed with your penis bulge sticking out and trying to tell me and other women about sex-based violence on women on December 6, 1999, where 14 women were massacred. I don't understand this. And Zach, you can go to hell. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And just a comment to add to Jennifer Ann's story is that the day after Zach's memorable appearance, all he could do on social media was talk about how he would have been one of the women killed on that day had he been present. It was do pardon me because I so seldom swear. It was fucking obscene to hear him talk about how he would have been killed because he passes so well, right? Just saying. All right. So thank you, Jennifer Ann. Now we have Catherine.
Okay, hello everyone. Everyone can hear me? Okay, I have a very unique story. I used to facilitate workshops, sex, gender, and orientation workshops here in Ottawa. I have congenital androgen dysplasia. I'm intersex, so they have me on their little pride flag and all that happiness. And I am tired of their arguments, and I'm tired of them speaking for us and putting us on their flag and using us. Intersex people are in complete antithesis to what trans is. Trans doesn't exist, gender doesn't exist, and the only thing that does is sexual dysphoria, and that is caused by physical or deformities. I was diagnosed with homicidal here in Ottawa with sexual dysphoria, and it's like having a lung and your brain is calling for a lung, but it doesn't exist. And it can be fixed. And I'm tired of people playing this masquerade of things. And it's absolutely ludicrous. And so I want to arm parents with the ability to say, when they try to use it and say sex is on a spectrum, it absolutely is not on a spectrum. And as an intersex person, I can 100% tell you, we are either X or Y. We are men or women. And to say that we are some kind of thing outside of humanity is absolutely disgusting. And I'm tired of hearing it. I was at 10 Oaks I was at ROC, Roots of the Community at the Project Acorn here in Ottawa. And our medical records are not supposed to be disclosed, but mine was. And I'm sitting in a workshop with Bear Bigerman and Jay Walsh, which are 2 trans authors. And a participant in there goes and says, "But aren't you intersex? You can't speak with us." And I'm like, yes, I get medication for free. Yes, I get therapy for free. Yes, I get this for free. But because I was completely disadvantaged. When they say puberty blockers for kids can't have sexual dysphoria. They haven't reached sexual maturity. So they can't understand that process doesn't hit. And when my body was not giving me hormones, I was so fragile. I broke my feet walking across the library in my school. When they say that there's osteoporosis and there's all these other problems, it is 100% correct. And to tell kids that they can just pause puberty is absolutely ludicrous. And I implore everyone to stop doing it. It's insane. And I was told to walk out of that workshop, the workshop I was facilitating, because I wasn't trans enough. I'm like, I'm the one standing here with the actual diagnosis of sexual dysphoria. I actually have an endocrinologist under my belt that can say this is physically why I'm having this problem. And you want me to come out because you have mind mites in your head. It's absolutely insane. So don't let them gaslight you. We are men and we are women, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yes, well done, Catherine. And you know, the gaslighting is pretty savage, and because we are inundated with it through mainstream media, it's that much harder. She's absolutely right. There's men, there's women, there's boys, there's girls. The determination to get rid of what they refer to as outdated gendered language is really something to behold. There's also mothers and fathers, and they will protect their kids. Okay. Maureen.
Alrighty. It's always easier to watch people than to do it yourself. Okay, so let me just start by saying that I want to recognize a couple of women who have inspired us all to be here today, whether we're speaking or not. They are the Canadian women, Megan Murphy, who spoke at the Bill C-16 hearings in 2016. She was, as far as I know, the first woman who spoke out about it and tried to warn us what would happen. I also want to acknowledge, I've put HK and I forget her first name. Hilla Kerner, who is the head of Vancouver Rape Relief, the only rape crisis center in all of Canada who accepts only women. It's the only organization that I donate to, and I don't live anywhere near Vancouver, but she needs our support. So I hope you'll consider doing that. I also want to acknowledge Amy Ham, the nurse from BC, who has been taken to her British Columbia College of Nurses and Midwives for putting up a billboard that says, "I heart J.K. Rowling." We are going on 3 years, I believe, of her waiting to find out her fate, and it's absolutely deplorable. The only upside to this, I hope, is that this amount of time that's passed may have changed, it's changed some of our minds, and maybe it's changed other minds. And by the time October comes next month, that she'll be vindicated. So thank you to Amy. We want you to know we're here for you too. You matter. Please know that. I also quickly want to say thank you to the women that I was with in Philadelphia in July. I was taught by the best, and I spent a weekend with women who inspired me to come and inspire others. And I just want to quickly say thank you to Kara, Lier, Jessica, Liz, Holly, Margot, Irene, Double L, and Triple L. You are an inspiration and you know how to do it, and we want to learn and we want to be as good as you. Okay. Sorry. I have a new beginning. Okay. I first read this speech 2 months ago in Philadelphia on the hallowed grounds of the birthplace of the Declaration of Independence. The irony was not lost on me that I believed it was necessary to go to another country to say what I feared to say in my very own. In Canada, under Bill C-16, an act to amend the Canadian Human Rights Act, the criminal code was changed to extend the protection against hate propaganda set out in the act to any section that is distinguished by gender identity or expression. In other words, we in Canada can be charged with a hate crime for correctly sexting someone. I am an adult human female. I have given birth to 2 precious children. I am in awe of the female body and what it can create and grow. No hormones and no surgeries will ever enable a man to do the same. It is not #BeKind to participate in this lie. In fact, I profoundly believe that the kindest thing that we can do for children is to just let them be. No one can change sex. Men are not women and can never be. There is no such thing as a trans child because no one is born in the wrong body. I say this because I care about the children who are given harmful drugs and irreversible surgeries. Society must protect them, and all countries must adopt the approach of Finland, Norway, Sweden, and the UK, who know that watchful waiting results in 2/3 of trans kids desisting and determining that they're just lesbian, gay, or bisexual. Let's let kids present as they want. Feminine boys and masculine girls are perfectly fine. Stereotypical behavior should never be interpreted as meaning born in the wrong body. I hate no one. This is not about hate. Rather, this is about love of oneself for who we are, as well as for the kids that we bring into this world. Let's love them enough to let them go through the discomfort of puberty, as we all did. Children cannot consent to harmful drugs and irreversible surgeries. I am willing today to take the risk of speaking these truthful words in Canada, even with the chance of legal repercussions. Canada must elect representatives who honor and value the fundamental rights and necessity of free speech, just as the men who wrote that profound document did 247 years ago. I'm willing, even with the fear, to take the risk in my own country now. Canadians must elect representatives who honor and value us. Not just free speech, but the fundamental truth that there are two sexes. As I say these words, the PC Party of Canada is holding their convention in Quebec City, where grassroots policies are being debated, including the submission 1268 that will not allow life-altering medicinal or surgical interventions on minors under 18. And submission 999, brought forward by the Edmonton Strathcona Group, headed up by the brave and brilliant Coach Linda Blade, that declares women as a female person, women who are entitled to the safety, dignity, and privacy of single-sex spaces, that is, prisons, shelters, locker rooms, and washrooms, and the benefit of women-only categories for sports awards, grants, and scholarships. The PC Party of Canada, by adopting these grassroots policies, not only will be listening to their members, but will gain tens of thousands of politically homeless women who will vote on one single issue, the recognition of what a woman is. Pierre, don't let women down. You know who we are. You're married to one, and she's the mother of your children. Women are adult human females. Thank you.
And just to put into perspective Maureen's remarks about Amy Ham, who is actually carrying this for a lot of us, all of us. Just for the sake of perspective, her alleged, hearings have been dragging on for several years now. Whereas a male nurse who had sexually assaulted a comatose female patient, it was all resolved in 3 days. Amy's crime is to say that women are women. I don't know about you. I personally prefer that medical professionals know that women are women and that men are men. But that might just be me. Okay, so next we have another Amy, our very own Amy.
Thank you, Shelley.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Amy and I'm a TERF. I used to refer to myself as a cisgender she, her, and would go out of my way to use other people's preferred pronouns. I was also fine with allowing feminine men to use the women's washroom if that's what they wanted. What's changed in recent years is partly me and partly the overreach of TQ++ activism. Through life experience, I've developed self-respect and healthier boundaries, and I'm more assertive now than I was in the past. I've also experienced the pain of being mischaracterized and alienated, and therefore I understand how difficult it is to hold perceptions or beliefs that are socially unacceptable. As social beings, we are dependent on others, and we seek the approval of others. And therefore, we can only risk losing those connections when we reach a point where we feel like we don't have a choice anymore. Oh, sorry. And I think you all know this because you're here today. Just being here and listening is courageous. But protecting vulnerable people from abuse and from medical experimentation is the thing that I think will ultimately unite everyone. Trans is not about accepting people for who they really are. Trans is about helping someone attempt to become who they think they should be. This is precisely why it's affecting the most vulnerable and marginalized. Those desperate souls who believe that something about themselves, whether it's their bodies, their desires, or their behaviors, to be so very wrong that existing as they are feels intolerable. I think that the last thing we should do is agree with them and lie to children. I can't and I won't because I think it's cruel. There aren't any girls who are actually boys or boys who are actually girls. There are just confused kids, and a lot of them right now. Children need unconditional love and acceptance. They need the adults in their lives to help them learn to love and accept themselves just as they are. No drugs or surgery required. These horrible views that I've just shared with you are what makes me a TERF and makes me a bigot. And I'm kind of proud of it these days. Thank you. Great job.
We're all going to wind up being TERFs in the end. Okay. We now have Carol.
I'd like to thank the women and girls present today and all of those fighting for our rights in language and in law around the world. We are a sisterhood. My name is Carol Bamford, and this is the record of my descent. This message is for my government, the institutions, and the people supporting a pernicious agenda wrapped in a pink and blue flag. I live in a country that I no longer recognize and that does not recognize me. I have no name. I cannot call myself woman without including men. My language has been stolen from me and given away against my wishes, against my will. Your social justice has become my prison. Your luxury beliefs have all but erased my life's work. I know what real social justice is. My belief is in material reality. I know what vulnerability looks like, and it does not look like entitlement. Most of my adult life has been spent doing what I call small corner advocacy. I made a decision early on to contribute all that I could to my community, to its most vulnerable, people with disabilities, people living in poverty. I took my skills in education and I poured them into nonprofit endeavors to help integrate and include these groups without judgment, as a support worker, as a coordinator, and for a decade as a librarian. I have volunteered thousands of hours throughout my working life to change policy, to improve the lives of others, to improve the lives of those with less than me, and to improve and build community in my small corner of the world. I did all of this knowing I'd never be rich, but I had a chance to enrich my country by ensuring opportunities for those who needed them most. Never once did I strip away the rights of others. Never once did I compel the language and thoughts of others. I never lied or sought to deceive, and I never needed anyone to affirm me. Give me back my spaces. Give me back my name. I'm a woman, not a thought in someone's head, not a feeling, not a costume, not a stereotype. I don't owe you proof. I don't owe you my stories of male abuse or female victimhood. I don't owe you the stories of my female medical trauma. I owe you nothing. You owe me. You owe me for my years of service, my years of taxes, my years of contributions to our shared society. You owe me. Respect my sex. Call me by my name. My name is woman.
I know, but well done. That was awesome. Okay, then. Okay. We now have Tony to make some remarks. Oops, sorry. Okay.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, is this not fantastic? I'm so thrilled to be here, and I'm really looking forward to the day that I appear in front of you without the costume. Carol, thank you for revving it up a bit. I think I'd like to take it up a notch. This morning, I had a bit of back and forth with our friend and amazing woman, Amy Ham. Yesterday, she published a new post on her Substack, and she has given us permission to read her Substack here now. I will now try to deliver that to you in less than 3 minutes. So please hold on. A week ago, a Twitter troll told me that I've ruined my life because I've ensured that for the rest of history, if anyone Googles my name, they will know what I have done. This made me think that this stranger stumbled across my account and then Googled to find out, and then Googled me to find out more. It also made me curious what there would be if I Googled myself. And so I did. The most interesting result was this prompt. If you click on the prompt, it reveals the citation issued against me by the BC College of Nurses and Midwives, which is essentially a wordy accusation of transphobia. I don't want to link it here. And since I am unequivocally not transphobic, I thought I would create an actual list of what I have done. Hopefully, curious people will read this list rather than rely on the bogus nonsense spewed by the BCCNM. What did Amy Ham do? This is what I did. I said that women and children matter. I said that we deserve safety, dignity, and our own spaces free from males. I said that no child is born in the wrong body. I said that children cannot consent to castration and mutilation via puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries. I said that males do not belong in female rape shelters. I said that males do not belong in female prisons. I said that males do not belong in female sports. I said that sex is more important than gender, the latter being essentially a made-up concept regarding sex stereotypes. I said that adults should never be free, or should be free to live however they'd like, if they don't harm others, or demand that we believe the same things they do. I said that trans people deserve the same rights as everyone else based on their biological sex. I said that non-binary and other bespoke gender identities are silly, narcissistic nonsense that are understandably tempting to impressionable youth and teens. And I said that it is embarrassing for adults to engage in this silliness. I said that self-identification laws enable predators to prey on women and children. I said that humans cannot change sex. I said that men are not and never can be women, no matter how they identify. I said that trans women are men because they are. I said all these things. I said all these things. And I will continue to say them for as long as I please. That is what I did. I stand with Amy Ham.
we didn't know how many people would come. I haven't written any prepared comments for closing, but I cannot say enough how affected I am really to see all of you here and listening, you know. This has been a really, really terrible few years. Carrie held a space the other night on Twitter, and Kara Dansky participated. And Kara commented on, you know, how ghastly it is for Canadian women. Worse than the United States, certainly much worse than England, worse now than Scotland. Maybe Australia's is bad. But Canada has become a place that really hates women. You know, I stand with Amy Ham too, and all I will say is that other than to thank all of you for coming and to thank Carrie and everyone who put all this effort into this event, this is my hill. Thank you. So if anybody else feels emboldened by all of this to come up and say something, this would be a great time to do it. Yes, we have two people. Way to go. Woo! She's coming. She's coming. Hi. I'm glad to see you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad this event's happening. And honestly, hi. Oh, now. Hello? Perfect.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah, we're told to be kind, as women have always been. And to be honest, even if you wanted to buy into the belief they're trying to feed you, it's so hard in the hypocrisy of what they do because it's so clearly not a two-way street. And I'll give you some examples of that. In the US, for rowing, for the rules updated in December 2022, if you identify as a woman and you're a male, you can go to the women's league, and vice versa as well. Now, that doesn't seem that fishy compared to how other sports are doing it right now. But what makes it fishy is that when you go to the mixed events, where it's supposed to be 50% women and 50% men, they make it clear that it has to be 50% males assigned at birth and 50% females assigned at birth, as if they know what sex is. So what? And then you go up and you look at the UK, and they have this process to legally make you a woman. But funnily enough, when it comes to male hereditary laws, like inheriting a title like a lordship, suddenly, even if you legally become a woman, you're still valid for that. How does that make sense? It doesn't. Yeah. Still, even like with the way reporting happens, any male that does a crime that identifies as a woman will be reported as a woman. Not the same for trans men. There was recently, in the last couple of years, a trans man shooter, and she got reported as female. Again, not even following their own rules. Here in Canada, yeah, men can go to jail, to women's jails and prisons if they say so. But the reverse doesn't happen. Trans men are not to go to male prisoners, almost as if, again, they realize there's something there. So I just wanted to read you this. Trans rights can be trans rights, not to be conflated with women's rights like they commonly are. It should not be on women to take on the burden of that when we still have a very tempered glass ceilings above our heads and our oppression that is very linked to our bodies. In some times and in some places, it may even be a greenhouse. It does harm to both groups when you conflate the issues. Trans rights activists could advocate for third spaces, but they don't. They could advocate for trans women to be more tolerated and accepted in male spaces, but they don't. They could advocate for better research into gender dysphoria disorder and what actually aids, but instead they deny it's a mental health concern, yet insist there needs to be medicalization. They could advocate for less stigma for femininity in men, but instead they insist anyone feminine must be a woman. Once again, we find ourselves in a place where instead of educating men, women are expected to shift our boundaries, our freedoms, and our opportunities to accommodate the comforts of others.
Hello, I'm Louise.
Bree is in the house.
Okay, so I just have to sort out my pieces of paper here. Thank you. I haven't spoken much into a microphone before, so am I loud enough? Do you hear me? Thank you. So, just got to get my first page sorted here. Okay, so we are gathered here today to demand that our government honor our rights as women and our charter right to free speech in Canada in order that we, women, may defend our rights, which are now under attack in a way I have never seen in my lifetime. How is the government undermining our rights? One way is preventing us from using our voices in public. Another way is altering the very words we need to speak out. Speech is made up of words. Laws are made up of words. I would like to talk to you today about the power of words and definitions in our lives. Our government likes to praise itself for promoting the rights of women in Canada and around the world, but in fact, the Canadian government has had a long history of using definitions of words to try to provide women, until recently known as female persons, of our rights. To illustrate how they have done this, I will give two examples. One from almost a century ago, and one happening right now. Downtown, next to the temporary home of the Senate of Canada, there is the striking sculpture by Barbara Patterson of the famous Five: Emily Murphy, Nellie McClung, Henrietta Muir-Edwards, Louise McKinney, and Irene Parlby, courageous women from Alberta who won the right for Canadian women to be considered persons qualified to be summoned to the Senate under Section 24 of the British North America Act of 1867. Before their victory, the Canadian government had used the pretext that because the BNA Act used the pronoun he for the singular of persons in the plural, women were excluded by law, not only from being summoned to the Senate, but from holding high public offices. the 5 women, all of whom had distinguished careers of public service, petitioned the government of Canada to appoint women to the Senate. Therefore, the Minister of Justice referred the question to the Supreme Court of Canada for consideration. Does the word persons in Section 24 of the British North America Act 1867 include female persons? The 5 justices in April of 1928 found that the question is answered in the negative. Note that in 1928, the Canadian government, in attempting to exclude women from the word persons, had no doubt that the fact of their being female meant that they belonged in a separate and inferior legal category, characterized by the disqualification from holding public office, along with, as one of the justices wrote, the criminal and the lunatic or imbecile, as well as the minor. Undaunted, the famous 5 launched a challenge of this ruling to the highest court, the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council of Great Britain, which on the 18th of October 1829 concluded that the word persons, and I quote here, includes members both of the male and female sex, and that therefore the question propounded by the Governor General must be answered in the affirmative, and that women are eligible to be summoned to and become members of the Senate of Canada, and they will humbly advise His Majesty accordingly. This was a great victory for women, and although none of the famous 5 was ever summoned to the Senate, in the following year, the first female senator, Kyrene Wilson, entered the Red Chamber. This was only one of the numerous achievements of our foremothers, who fought against great opposition to win rights for women, who originally had so few, such as the right to vote, to have a separate legal identity, to hold property as married women, to earn university degrees, to practice professions, to apply for their own bank accounts and credit cards without their husband's permission, to receive equal pay for equal work, to have reproductive choice, and to be protected under the Human Rights Act and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms from discrimination on the basis of sex. Starting with Bertha Wilson, women have even been justices on the Supreme Court. You yourself may think these women were not perfect or did not represent all women, and that is your right, but think of what a difference their courage and determination in the face of the assumption of second-class status for female persons going back for millennia have made for us. My second example of our government using definitions to deprive women of our rights is the reason for which we are gathered here now. How ironic it is that in 2023, the Canadian government, while it accepts that women are persons, has taken away from us the word female. If you check the Department of Justice definitions, just about, oh, sorry, okay, how much longer? Definitions, you will find that the word women is defined as all people who identify as women, whether they are cisgender or transgender women. The definition for men is the reverse. Clearly, these definitions are circular because they contain the terms that they are defining, are therefore meaningless. In addition, the government in 2017 added the terms gender identity, as we know, when which people publicly present their gender, etc., is more important than biological sex and reality. Whoops, sorry, last page here. This is the fight for women's rights of our lifetimes. We must demand back our definitions our spaces, and our rights as adult human females, as our foremothers did. The women of Canada have won great victories before, and we will win again. There we go.
We got one more. I think one more. Come on up.
Just one last.
Come up.
About a year ago, I moved into. Sorry. About a year ago, I moved into a new shared apartment, and my roommate and I advertised 2 of the empty rooms as female only. And because I was in another country at the time, it was my roommate that met with and approved the new roommates who I didn't meet until moving. But one of them turned out to be a male who identified as female. And at the time, I was too in shock to speak. So it was my mom that confronted him and his mom about my discomfort living with a male. Upon hearing the word male, they immediately started crying and playing the victim. So of course, as a woman who was socialized to be empathetic, I felt terrible. And at the time, I thought, if I tell him to leave right now and he became homeless, it would be my fault. So I felt like I had no choice to agree to let him stay until he found a new place. And my hope was that he would leave once doing so. 2 days later, thankfully, he did find a new place, but the move-in date was a month away. And I didn't think I could survive a month in that situation, so I even considered staying with my friends until he left. But after really thinking about it, I thought, why should I be the one who has to step aside to accommodate this male? I was here first. It's my name on the lease and not his. If there was anyone that should be leaving, it should be him. So feelings of fear and discomfort eventually turned into anger. And I spent about 2 days trying to figure out how to get out of this situation. I didn't care at that point if he had somewhere else to go or not. So I confronted him again myself out of anger, not just for myself, but for all the other women who have become victims of this movement. All of the other women I told about the situation thought that I should seek a more amicable approach, that I should compromise. But I thought, why should I compromise over my own boundaries? Regardless of what he claimed to be, this man violated my boundaries. So why should I make any concession for him when he didn't consider my feelings in the first place? I wanted to make it clear that I absolutely will not be used as a prop to affirm any man's delusion. So the argument I used was that I initially promised that he can stay, and I quote, until he finds a new place. And based on the literal definition of the word find, he did find a new place. The fact that the move-in date was a month away was irrelevant. So since I had upheld the end of my bargain, he should uphold his and leave immediately. And I gave him a deadline of 24 hours to pack his stuff and leave. So as expected, he began to claim that I was violating his human rights on the basis of gender identity and threatened to file a complaint against me. So I said, no, this isn't about your identity. I don't care how you identify. This is about biological sex, which does not change regardless of how you identify. So I did succeed in getting him to leave and no complaint was filed. But if anyone should have been filing a human rights complaint, it should be me. Because it is not a human right for men to be allowed to violate the boundaries of women. When I hear trans rights are human rights, the same trans rights which are in direct opposition to women's rights, I hear that they do not view women as human beings. If they had an ounce of respect for women, they wouldn't be calling us bigots just for saying that we do not consent to men in our spaces. This movement does not care about human rights. This movement was created with a sole purpose to violate and erode the boundaries of women and children, and this country needs to stop pretending otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you. I really mean that. Thank you. a lot. I'm really glad you came. Thank you. Anybody else? No? All right. Well, then I guess it's time to say goodbye until next time. And there will be many, many, many next times. I do assure you. Thank you all for coming. Yeah.